Give me 1 second. All right. So just casual chat. I'm just going to talk to you about what your application looked like, what were the spikes in your profile, what was undergrad like, and then just the journey of you making it to some of the really good universities, right? So that's what we will just generally talk about, but there will be a bunch of questions that we can take. There seems to be a question around whether students can unmute themselves. That's something that we will decide a little later, but essentially walking us through the entire journey of the applications and a lot more background, because these are the things that students who are applying now will care about a lot, and then try and pick up on those while they are going ahead and applying for themselves. First of all, thank you so much for making the time on a Tuesday afternoon. I didn't expect people to be actually interested in coming and listening to someone, but you also must have taken time out from a very busy schedule. So thanks so much for that.
Actually, going through the rigorous process, there is always a longing to share with everyone. So
Yeah.
I found this opportunity a great one to, actually put out what I have in my mind, and also about the entire process and my ups and downs, etc.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll start from the beginning, right? Talk to me
Sure.
about where you grew up, where was high school, and then what was the switch between high school to undergrad? I know I'm taking you way down the memory
Okay,
lane, but
that's
very
a
important.
bad memory related to JEE and all.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so I have, like, I'm born and brought up entirely in Mumbai, so I've grown in
Okay.
Mumbai entirely. In high school, so after 10th, like just before the board exams, I was pretty sure that I'll take commerce and I'll do CA. But I don't know why, for some reason, I ended up taking science. I don't know, it was just like a last minute switch.
Right.
And I don't know, everyone was taking science, and I just threw away my entire game plan blueprint I had and like took science. And I just did the most obvious thing. I took that integrated thing, which was very, I think it is still in the hype right now, where you don't need to go to college, and your
Right.
institute, the coaching institute, will take care of the attendance. You just have to attend the lectures for JEE and all. So I did
Correct.
that. 11th 12th tak to I struggled a lot understanding everything in JEE. Last 6 months I worked very hard. I remember I even left my coaching and all. I did that in Vidya Lankar, just to put it out. In Mumbai itself, they have a center. So then I gave my JEE. I got a good rank actually. I was getting into NITs and very lowly ranked IITs as well. But eventually I like chose VJTI because I thought that staying in the city would help me build a
Right.
profile which is which is not really accessible to students out there, especially in NITs, which are very far away from the city. So, and that is also like, that really actually helped me. That logic actually made sense because there were a lot of things which I did which added to my profile, mainly the
Yeah.
volunteering ones,
Yeah.
and extracurriculars as well, which actually, created a difference during the application process. And I'm pretty sure I would not have been like able to do that in other colleges just because I
Understood.
was away from the city. So yeah,
So you
then I
chose
took my
location over going to an IIT. Yeah.
see, IIT, it was like, not, I was not even getting the right kind of branch. So I don't want to do
Okay.
material science or like all those kind of things.
Right.
NIT is also, I was getting the right kind of branch, but at that time I chose the location.
Understood.
And again, even in my later on decisions, I have chosen location, and I
Yeah,
always
and
have
we'll
that.
we'll come to the decision which is a little
Yeah,
controversial. I'll probably add a little more
not
masala on my
controversial.
end as well. At least it's controversial for us, having seen so many folks go to. We'll get there. We'll talk
Sure,
about the
sure.
decision that you've taken, and I'll probably ask you a couple of pointed questions around that. But so, what was undergrad like? What was your major in undergrad? And then talk to me. Divide the undergrad into two parts, right? First and second years where you're still exploring, trying to figure out what you want to do in life, And then third and fourth years where you're sitting for placements or you're thinking about a master's degree or you're starting to figure out, okay, I'm going to be graduating soon. Do I want to do a job, get a master's? What sort of work would I want to do, etc. So split that into two of those sections and then talk to me about the entire undergraduate study.
Okay. So like as soon as I got in first year, I was like not exploring anything. I was just chilling because I had gone through this rigorous patch of studies and I wanted to enjoy the college life. One thing which I did was I went into all the fests like technical, cultural, sports. I was the badminton team captain as well, again, which made any difference in the application. So one thing which I did in first year was I was highly involved in extracurriculars. Although I would recommend everyone to not do that and study really well because it affected my CGPA a lot in the later stages. But first year was entirely not studying. Second year was like realizing, oh shit, I need to study now because my GPA is going down, but still not really, taking that seriously. At that time, I started looking out. So at that time, I did 2, 3 other volunteering things, which again added to my profile. So one thing is that even though I was not studying, I did not waste my time. I was doing something. So in the second year, I was taking leadership position in the college fest. Then I also took leadership positions in NGOs. I worked for NGOs, and I myself, started. I had been doing yoga and meditation. So I also started my teacher training course to become a certified yoga teacher as well. So these were the 3 things parallelly I was doing during my second year. Third year was like a blank slate. Like everyone, like we were like it was the COVID period. We were sitting at home just doing. Some people were doing 150 Coursera courses. I only did 2. And majorly I was just doing these things and trying to understand what I want to do. At that point in third year, I would say by the time the third year was getting over, 2 things happened. I first realized that okay, technical is not something I really want to be. Like I don't want to be a very hardcore technical guy. So I want to get into management. That was for sure. In terms of my career, I would want to look at a role which is more management oriented or maybe a techno managerial role. And then I had an summer internship at PwC itself, where I worked later on as a full-time consultant. There, even during my summer internship, I was fortunately given a techno-functional role, which I explored in depth, and I realized, okay, this is something really interesting. I worked there on SAP Analytics Cloud. So it was also analytics, but at the same time, I also had to interact with the clients and understand what they want, etc., etc. So it was more managerial as well.
Understood. And
then
we'll talk about the internship a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So this was during COVID, right? You were able to get an internship at PwC. This was either the first wave or the second wave, right around that time, correct?
Correct. So 2021 summer, I interned at PwC.
And talk to me about that process. So first of all, are you a undergrad in computer science?
No. I am not an undergrad in computer science. I am an undergrad in electrical engineering.
And so moving from yeah, go ahead.
In my college, we had this placement and internship drives where companies like PwC, Deloitte, they all come. They also hire interns and they also hire full-time graduates. So I was just lucky enough to go through that process and be there at the right place at the right time. Applied through campus, got in, and thereon again for the full-time as well. So there was nothing extra.
Fantastic. And I do want to talk a little bit about, because for the MEM applications, right? Understanding the techno managerial function is very, very important. So moving from a tech, PwC, I'm assuming, was the first time that you heard of the intersection between technical and management, sort of. So talk to me about what that internship looked like. What were the functions or the responsibilities that you had, and how did that shape thinking a little bit?
Yeah. So there was a huge overlap like between my internship and my full time. Both had the same kind of things. So I'll just talk in general about what a functional role is as a consultant. So what happens is there is a client and there is a service. Let's say that service is SAP. SAP is basically a software which is going to integrate and digitalize all your business processes. Okay, so now there is one guy who knows how to uh, implement that. There is one company who knows how to implement that software for the client. Now the
Correct.
client has a certain business requirements. It is not true that all the businesses work the same way as given in the standard template. Especially my client, they diverged a lot from the standard process. So what happens is, you as a functional consultant, so in this there are two kinds of consultants, functional and technical. Technical consultants, they basically code. So they code on the basis of requirements. For example, if there is something that client wants, let's say ABC requirement, that is not present in the standard solutions offered by this software, then that technical consultant would go ahead and code that, like develop it. They are called developers. They'll code that. They don't have a direct exposure to business. They don't okay, these are not something bad. I'm just highlighting the points and like highlighting things, especially in terms of MEM. They don't have a direct exposure to the client or the business, and they don't really know why they are doing it. They are just doing it, but they are doing it in a very skillful and crafty way, which we as functional consultants cannot do. So I do that. As a functional consultant, we understand what the client wants. We understand the business aspect of it. Like, okay, he's saying that I want to raise a purchase order this way. So how will we go about it? Why is he saying that? What are the what are the consequences? How is it? Is this data coming in like that? And we give a requirement document. This is very
to
similar.
The technical consultant.
Yeah, this is very similar to the product requirement document, or PRD, which we say. We call it as we call it also as a requirement document only, more technically functional specification document. We give that to the technical guy and they code it out, and we are the one who test it, implement it, and then go and listen to client if they have any feedback. So majorly it is like a client facing role, which translates to a user or customer facing role in product management, which is, I believe, what everyone wants to get into after an after an MEM degree. So that was the rough idea. I hope I was able to
Understood. So just to simplify it for our listeners, there are two kinds of consultants. One is a functional consultant, one is a technical consultant. Functional guy sits with the client, gets their requirement, passes that along to the tech guy who builds it out. The functional guy is sitting in between both of them and trying to build out the product.
That is the exact definition. They are the bridge between the client and the technical people. And not only that, many things are there in SAP which are standard. So it is the responsibility of a functional guy to have that knowledge that, okay, this standard functionality exists. So they have to do a process called configuration, where they have to implement that standard process. In that, there is no technical guy involved like that.
Understood. So you also need to know whatever tool or software you're building out. You also need to have the domain knowledge around that.
We need to know the technology as such. We don't need to know how they created this functionality. To give a very simple example, it is like a tool having a lot of features. You don't need to know how that feature is built, or you don't need to know how to build a new feature. You just need to know how to map the existing features with the client's requirement
and use it.
And use it. Exactly. That's what.
Fantastic. Okay, got it. I want to touch upon a couple of things, right? So one of the most fascinating parts of applying to MEM and most asked questions is, does work experience help? So while you're answering this question, go back to your PwC internship. Did you get a full-time conversion right after? What was fourth year like? Did you sit for other placements, etc.?
Definitely.
How much does WorkX play a role in the entire applications process, especially for MEM?
Okay, all right. Where should I begin? Okay, so after just continuing my story, I'll just wrap that up and answer your question as well. PwC internship ended up, and I knew I want to do management. That time I had an option. Like I thought I'll do the GMAT first, and then I started preparing for the GMAT I gave once, I gave twice, I couldn't crack it up, and that was my entire fourth year. Like you asked what I did in my fourth year.
Right.
Once I interned, I got a conversion, and I knew now I had my whole year left in front of me with nothing to do except my final year project. Which is again a very important thing for the MEM application process. We'll talk about that later. So
Sure.
apart from final year project, there was nothing else to do. So I thought, okay, I want to do management. Maybe MBA is what I will do. But I wanted to stay in the tech industry as well. At that time, I didn't know much about MEM. So I just gave the GMAT once. I gave it again. Twice I only reached a maximum of 680. And for ISB and all those things, you need a minimum of 700. So I couldn't get through that process. After that, I started working, and that's when I gave my GRE, scored 331, and applied for MEM. But now coming back to the question,
Before that, one second.
Yeah, sure.
Now that you brought out the GMAT prep and all of that, right? So one probably a lot more burning question is, at this point in time, had you already decided that, hey, I don't want to do any technical stuff, I am going to go ahead and break into the managerial sector, either through an MBA or through an MEM? At this point, had you already decided all of that?
Yeah, so I did that because I had explored everything in my internship. Now anyways my forte was not that much in technical aspects apart from the analytics part. So yeah, I had decided. That's why I chose to pursue the GMAT, obviously, because that is more like a management exam.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about the conversion into
the work experience. I feel it is very important, especially. So I worked only for 1 year because I was in a hurry to go abroad, and there were multiple factors other than that as well.
Right.
To very simple. Firstly, you get paid, so you save a little money, even if it is little, even if it is able to pay for and all, then also it is great. So that is one thing, you get paid for that. Secondly, you get a lot of experience which you can actually go ahead and write on your resume, and once you have experience, you have stories. So if you have stories which are personal, you have something unique you can put on your SOP. See, SOP is more about storytelling, what you want to tell in terms of a story. The more you put it like a story, the better it is, rather than putting it in a very formal letter kind of way. So experiences amounts to stories amounts to motivations and learnings, and through that you can draft a wonderful SOP. So just for the sake of getting a very good SOP and even recommendations, I would highly I really feel that work experience helps a lot. Internships, yes, for people who want to go just after their graduation and they might have some internships, that might work as well. But I still feel that having a certain number of full-time experience is altogether a different impact. And this I had confirmed with admissions committee from Duke and Dartmouth as well. They also, told me on their email as well that having work experience would certainly enhance your profile like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now let's come to the applications themselves, right? Like at this point in time, you had already given GMAT. You had figured out that maybe the score wasn't good enough for me to get into a really good B school in India. Maybe the ISB was not something within reach. So how come you dropped the plan of MBA completely and moved to an MEM? Did you not think about an MBA in the US? How did you compare an MBA in the US to an MEM in the US?
Yeah, just a slight correction. I never thought that ISB is not within my reach. In fact, given my GRE, I could have easily gotten it.
With the GRE,
What happened was, after giving GMAT twice, and second time I worked really, really hard. And I'll tell you, this GMAT is a very annoying test. Okay, it gets to you, and you need every pounds of intelligence within you to get above 700. Plus, there are not many great resources for GMAT to prepare for. So they have the official guide of level 1, but the real test is of level 10 or even above. So
Right.
I gave up on GMAT. I realized GMAT is not my test. Instead, what I'll do is I'll try GRE, because all the B schools and even like entire world accepts GRE, any program. Now MBA also accept GRE. So I thought, why not? Like, this is a better option. So I gave my GRE, and when I got like a 331 score, I wondered, now I have this score. Now I am sure I'll get a good college abroad. Then why should I even apply to any college in India? I mean, given the aspiration I had for an abroad experience, why should I apply now to India? That is the question I had. Not that Indian B schools are not great or anything. It is just that the kind of background and experience and aspirations I had. I thought, yes, I do have a good score now, and there is nothing holding me back, and I should apply abroad. And since I had at that point of time, again, I said I was in a hurry. I saw my score, I was in a hurry. And I said, okay, I don't have more than 3 years, 4 years of work experience. Neither do I have any patience to sit and work for that long. Yeah.
Understood.
So I said, okay, the next best option seems to be the MEM, and I knew a lot of my seniors from my college who went to Duke, Dartmouth, Columbia, John Hopkins, etc.
Understood. And now that you've dropped some names, do you mind telling us what all universities you applied to, and what responses you got from each one of them?
Okay, so I applied to Stanford, from which I got rejected, and I don't know if anyone got acceptance from there at all.
This year we have I know of two people that have gotten into, two Indians that have gotten into Stanford. Yeah, this year.
Really?
Last year we had two, but yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, Stanford MSND program.
MSND, correct? Yes.
Okay. So I applied there. I got a reject. I applied to Columbia, got accepted. I applied to Dartmouth, again got accepted. I applied to Duke, got a reject from there, which was very surprising. Then I also applied to Purdue MEM. I got accepted from there. And I applied to University of Washington's MIS program, which has a product management track and also a user experience kind of track, which is really awesome. So I applied to that. I also got acceptance from there. And just like for the sake of applying, I applied to Carnegie Mellon. I was really not interested in that.
Which program?
The MISM 16-month program. I got a reject from there. Yeah. Okay. So three rejects basically: Stanford, Duke, and Carnegie. And Columbia, Dartmouth, Purdue, and UWash were the acceptance.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Now comes the controversy, right? Every year, I cringe at this, but we are by default forced to publish some rankings of MEM programs and all of that. And consistently, Stanford is number one, consistently, Dartmouth is number two, and then comes Cornell and Columbia fighting around, Duke here and there, depends on the year, depends on what's going on in Duke's head. They want to take 300 people, they want to take 200 people, God knows what's going on in their head every
year.
Duke
right? So changes their policy, I don't know.
Yeah, man. At this point, it's become our internal policy to not care about Duke's policy. So we just don't give a fuck. Now comes the controversial bit. Most people that I will talk to, including our internal opinion as well, which is basically both Srikar and my opinion, would have been for anyone who's gotten into both Dartmouth and Columbia, from a purely curriculum perspective, from a prestige of the department or the MEM degree itself, we would, without knowing any detailed information about the students' plans or what their careers would want to look like, etc., we would highly recommend Dartmouth over Columbia, right? I'm sure you would have gotten this advice from, I don't know if you've talked to any of us, but if you would have gotten the same advice. Yeah, so you would have, I'm sure you would have gotten the same advice, go to Dartmouth over Columbia. Now, for you to have the conviction to pick Columbia over Dartmouth, what what were the things that you were looking for in your career, and why did you pick Columbia over Dartmouth, or why are you picking Columbia over Dartmouth?
Okay. So, see, firstly, there are a lot of people who have taken that choice. In fact, today morning I spoke to one of my Colombian seniors, and she made the same choice. And she said there are at least 7 to 8 people out there who made the same choice last year. So
Sure.
again, there are many reasons. Okay. Firstly, I was not sure I want to do product management. Okay. This is one thing. See, I agree that like Dartmouth has this great legacy for PM, and if someone is like absolute sure that I want to look into product management
Correct.
only and I don't want to do anything else, I don't want to explore anything, I know what I want to do, then that program is very good because it has that legacy for PM.
Correct.
Again, Columbia is also, joining that tribe. A lot of great PM internships this year as well, including Adobe and other great internships as well. But I was not sure I wanted to do PM. I was open to options such as consulting. I was open to options such as sustainability consulting in that area as well. I was also open to options such as analytics. So and operations as well. Because
Understood.
see, this is very young stage of my career. People remember we had a group, Dartmouth versus Columbia, on WhatsApp. We were 5 people, and I think three of them, two of them.
I think I'm losing you for a bit.
What happened was, am I audible? I think.
Is it just me, or
Hello.
okay? I'm trying to figure out if the connection is bad on my end or his end. Are you guys able to hear me?
Hello. Am I audible?
Okay. We'll wait for him to maybe rejoin. But essentially, I'd put up something very similar on the new app Threads yesterday, also on my Instagram. Career counseling.
Hello.
Okay.
Am I audible? Hello.
Just checking in, guys. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay, looks like he's
Hello.
back. Hey, yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay,
I
so
think.
we were talking about the decision between Columbia and Dartmouth, and you said for PM that would have been an absolute no-brainer, but you weren't sure if you were
Absolutely.
doing.
Because again, you must see my background. I just have 1 year of experience, and that too not in PM. It's like a functional
Correct.
role which has a lot of transferable skills, but not into
Correct.
PM. So I'm just exploring. I wanted to explore a lot of things, which Columbia like offered a wide variety of things: analytics, operations, PM now like rising in the trend, and
Yeah.
even consulting is one of the biggest forte for Columbia. Even finance, investment, why not? I mean, if you're going
Yep.
there, why not explore, right? Because it's like your young career. Why should we
Yep.
fixate on something which everyone is trying to do? So that was my
Absolutely.
ideology, and there were main three factors. Firstly, the location itself. So New York, as
Yeah.
we all know, offers a lot of networking opportunities. I can just rightly walk into any of the networking events, and it won't be much hassle for me. So I thought that New York location would offer me a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Second thing was for the MS&D program in Columbia. It is again, if you see, it is a management science and engineering, and there is a lot of emphasis, primary emphasis on management, rather than in engineering management. Which is like, for example, now in Dartmouth, I remember I was only able to pick 2 courses from Tuck. Okay, and
Right.
the degree was primarily offered by Thayer School of Engineering. In
Correct.
Columbia, I can pick up to 7, that is more than 50% courses from the business school. And the degree is a joint degree. Like It is from
Correct.
the engineering as well as the business school. So now I'm an alumni of Columbia Business School as well, which is a big deal for me. At least a lot of
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
it is a big deal. And one of the cons when many people highlight is it's very costly. And the reason it is very costly is because it is a Columbia Business School degree, and you get
Sure.
exposure to so much of CBS content out there. So,
Mhm.
and then the
Yeah.
third main reason was the operation consulting course they have. It's not like a
Mm.
course, actually, it's like an internship you get for 10 months,
Correct.
and you don't
Correct.
get paid for that. But you get a lot of things to put on your resume. You get a lot of experience in the US, which you can talk
Yeah.
about in a lot of your interviews or while applying. And
Yeah.
that puts you miles ahead in the game. So, and there are people who are getting like product strategists and consulting kind of internships in that operation consulting course.
Mhm.
So I thought
Yeah.
like these factors really attract me, and like
Absolutely.
I took that decision. Even though
Sounds
it
good, man.
costs a lot more, uh, it is a
Yeah, that
big
makes
get.
sense. Again, one of the things that I put out a post on this a couple of days ago is um, there is no one best course for you list that is general for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
For each one, depending on what their interests are, there are going to be courses that they should be pursuing as compared to something else. That's the general norm that's out there. I preface the question by saying, without knowing too much detail about just general career trajectory and what interests
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are, Dartmouth would have been a much better option for anyone. But like Abhijit is saying, if the idea is to not just box yourself into product, but also be able to try and explore a bunch of different avenues. I think no better place on earth than New York City, maybe San Francisco, but not right now. But no better place than New York City, and no better place than Columbia's MSCE program as well. Fantastic. Congratulations for
Thanks a
all
lot.
of those fantastic admits, man. And I think we'd love to be proven wrong about the divide between Dartmouth and Columbia, and we're also
There
updating
is
some of our beliefs and opinions based on students that are studying there right now, also trying to figure out what their career outcomes look like. So we'd love to get a lot more information from on the ground, and that's what we are here to do and pass that along to the next set of folks. I'd like to close with a couple of things around application advice for these guys that
sure.
are going to be applying. So I'm not going to talk to you about, okay, what was there in your SOP, all of that. I think that's not great things that people can pick off. But
Mhm.
what specific tips would you have in terms of the application timeline for students? What should they be doing at what points in their time?
Okay. So, first, one thing is that when I was applying, there was a rumor that even though they say that the application deadline is on 15th Jan, if you apply early, the chances of getting admitted is high. This is
Mm-hmm.
completely bullshit, okay? That it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. I have seen people who applied on 14th January, 1 hour before the
Sure.
deadline, and getting into Duke and other colleges.
Mm-hmm.
So, firstly, don't stress about that. And in terms of timelines, what I can't say what is right or what is wrong because it is very varied, but I'll tell you what was my timeline. So by mid September I completed my GRE, and by end September I wrapped up my TOEFL, and then I took a week's break and I started drafting my SOPs. So I would say somewhere around second week of October I started my SOPs and other essays, whatever. All these things happen in
Right.
parallel because it is just one master draft you prepare and then pick out things from there and just change
Correct.
the arrangement. So from October till December mid or December end, I did all my SOP work. I finished my applications in December end. So that is the timeline I followed. But people can like go ahead and give their GRE by September end and probably finish their SOP by January. One thing is that we need to give a lot of time to SOPs because it is a game changer, and you should at least give like 2.5 months, 2 to 2.5 months to that, provided that you sit on reiterating it every day. It is a very
Yeah.
iterative process. So,
Yeah, yeah. I do want to jump in with the early application sort of theory, right? One, of course, if you apply early, again, for some universities, it might not make sense. For universities like a Johns Hopkins, a
For
Purdue,
JHU, they have
Northeastern,
rolling admissions. Yeah.
they
So
have rolling
unless they have
admissions.
specified that they are rolling,
Correct.
it doesn't matter.
So as a general strategy might not work, but for some universities,
Yeah.
if you are applying early, 100% higher chances of getting in because within MEM, right, a bunch of these universities roll out at least the interview offers as soon as December. A bunch of these interviews will happen as early as December, and if you are applying early, you might get your slot in the first round. And so, just with rounds, right? Make sure to apply before round one. If you're an international student, 100% before round one, and you're not losing anything if you're applying early instead of waiting till the last moment to apply.
Yeah, if
I'll
you
leave it
can,
at that.
if a person can like finish their applications by December mid, then
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
best, I think.
Yeah.
No better.
All right. In terms of your letters of recommendation, given that you had about a year of experience, did you choose to go academic or did you choose to get some letters from professionals?
Definitely. So I took one letter of recommendation from my senior manager at PwC. I went ahead. So I had only spent like 2 months into the project, and I knew this is the right time. If I missed, because for the UWatch deadline I needed that. So I went ahead and asked him, uh, one from my senior manager at PwC, and the other two were academic from my college. One was my FYP mentor, and one was some other professor, like with whom I did my project, another project.
Understood. So you had two academic and one professional.
That's why work experience helps a lot, because if you have a professional, if you have your employer recommending you, then nothing better than that.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the interviews that you had. Which universities asked you to get on a call with them and just have a conversation or an interview with them? And how were these interviews like?
Okay. So there were two types of interviews. Firstly is the video interview, which happened in Colombia and
pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded. They flash a topic, you have to speak about it in like 3 minutes. That is there. The other aspect is a live interview, which was only there for Dartmouth and Purdue. And I think that is a very good process of filtering people. Again, Dartmouth is really great at selecting people, in filtering people. So the interview process, again, but so in Purdue, the interview process was much more like a conversation. So you really don't know what they're looking like. What if you give an answer, you don't understand what is he evaluating you. Like my interviewer was Eric, and I didn't know what he was evaluating on. I had prepared a few things in my mind which he can ask, and I went ahead with that. In Dartmouth, I think there is a specific 6 questions set, which is like fixed, and that's what Stephen is going to ask you. It is just like what you answer, the content, and the structure of what you answer. Structure matters a lot. If you just blabber and you forget to pin the information you are saying, to connect the information you're saying, then you will lose out some points. So,
understood. Fantastic. I think we'll open up for any and all questions, folks. I think if you can put up your questions in the chat box, happy to do that. So we have a couple of questions. Have you participated in any networking events or industry conferences during undergrad? How important do you think is it for engineering managers to be able to build all of these connections during undergrad? You said in your first and second years you were in the tech committees and a couple of other extracurriculars, right? So how much of a role did that play either during the applications process within the SOP or for your interviews if some of those questions came up?
So interviews a lot. They directly ask you or indirectly they ask you about your leadership experience, or they ask you about your volunteering experience. These two played a lot of role in my interviews as well as in my SOP. So like as I said, staying in those extracurriculars and participating in those, I don't think networking events is the right word there. Networking event is completely different. and participating in fests and events are different. So I didn't participate in any networking events as such as the product conferences or anything. Nothing. I don't have any product
Got it.
experience.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. Any other questions, guys? Looks like someone is typing. Yeah, does working for a fest and leading college teams really help?
To be frank, I didn't write any of my college fest work in my SOP because I had other important things to cover, such as I had a leadership. So essentially, what this guy is asking is whether leadership experience helps a lot. And as I have been saying, yes, it does. Your leadership experiences, especially in the volunteering segment, or if you don't have a volunteering, at least in the tech fest or college fest, is going to create a lot of impact. Because
Right.
engineering management again is a management degree, and you want to, as a manager, you want to show your leadership skills.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we can close with this one question, which is just general tips for folks that are going to be embarking on the entire applications journey now, irrespective whether it's for MEM, for CS, whatever degree. What tips would you have for folks that are applying this year?
Tips, as in general, firstly, you need to sit down and identify what are the loopholes in your profile. So not everyone's profile is perfect. For me, my loophole was that I had a low GPA. The simple solution was to get a high GRE. Like that, you need to understand what are the shortcomings of your profile. The best tip I can give is go ahead and connect with professors or the admission committees of at least your top 3 dream universities. And I did that. I connected with Columbia professors, I connected with Dartmouth and Duke professors as well. So they give you a lot of insights and things which you never thought of would be true. And sometimes they are things which you actually disregarded as being important. So I think that is one of the best tip I would give, to stay in touch with the professors and AdCom, and just ask if you have any question, just ask it out to them. Like, don't even bother to think, or don't be shy to not ask.
Yeah, very cultural difference. No, in India, no professor, at least not outside of tier one institutions. I don't see professors using their email in this place, which means that no one's looking at their emails. In the West, every professor like literally goes to their email the first thing they come into their office, and that's what they're sitting down and doing. So
they're more
with
than
the
happy
change
to help
in
you, actually.
correct, they're absolutely more than happy to help you, and we should 100% take advantage of that and be able to build up a relationship. At the same time, don't spam them. Don't ask stuff that can be googled and that's on the website, because they'll just redirect you there, or probably put a very negative impression of the guy in terms of, okay, he doesn't even have the time to google it, why am I supposed to reply to that? So if there are questions that are not googleable or are not on the website, absolutely something you should get in touch with the professor and expect a reply as well. So
Just
yeah,
one more thing, like in terms
yeah,
of advice, one thing which I have like been in my mind is that if anyone has a shortcoming in their profile, it is best to address that in the SOP. For example, I had a low GPA and I put that out in my SOP that yes, I screwed up. Not like that. I put it in a more sophisticated way. I accepted my mistake. I've showed them what compensation I have done, and probably some tips on why I would not repeat that mistake. Doing this like changes the trajectory of your application, because you're accepting and acknowledging that you have a shortcoming, and you are showing them that how you have improved and how you will not repeat the same mistake. And this is something very few people do. I have seen this, very few people do. They think that why should I put negative things about me in the SOP? But if you go ahead and ask the professors and the admission committee, they will tell you to put that in your SOP. They are expecting you to acknowledge, and when you acknowledge, they are more generous.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic advice, man. All right, thanks so much for coming on a Tuesday. Have you figured out accommodation and everything else in Colombia, in
New
New York
York,
City?
it is New York. It's still going on.
Yeah,
It's like last
it's still
10 days.
going on.
Yeah.
If you need any help, let me know. We have a bunch of friends and students there, and I'm happy to put you in touch with folks.
Definitely. Thanks a
In
lot.
general, if you need anything in New York City, happy to help. A
Thanks,
lot of
thanks,
people
thanks.
that have gone through the same program still live in New York, so that's a connection that we still have with them.
Yeah,
But again,
thanks.
really,
You guys have been starting a very big community, and I think you're doing a great job with the
yeah,
community building at Gradvine. So
we're
yeah,
doing our
keeping people
job.
engaged.
Yeah, we're doing our job. I don't think it's there yet. We will continue to keep doing this for a while now. So thanks so much for coming in on a Tuesday
Thanks a
afternoon, and
lot.
then we'd love to have you back on board to guide the next set of applicants as a mentor as well. So once you get to
Definitely,
Colombia, if you have some time, we'd love for you to come back and sit down with one of couple of these guys and help them with the applications. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
All
looking
right.
forward, and I'd like to
Absolutely.
wish like all the best to everyone who is
Hmm?
applying for this application cycle. You can reach me on LinkedIn as well, Abhijit Krishnan. In fact, I've
Sure.
also started a new blog series where I'm writing all of these things
Hmm?
out there. So go ahead,
Great.
feel free to read through. It's just 5 to 10 minutes read. Go ahead, and I'll drop the link as well. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks so much, man. Take care. See you.
Thank you. Bye bye.